Failure. That's the word he used, not maybe next time, not keep trying. He looked me dead in the eye in front of everyone and said, "You're not cut out for this. You'll never make it in sports." He cut me from the team, erased my name off the board like I was a mistake. That night I cried until my throat burned, but I didn't cry because I was weak. I cried because something inside me woke up. And years later, that same man had to stand up as the entire world screamed my name. My name is Malik Johnson. And this isn't a story about talent, it's a story about rejection, about falling so many times even your own reflection gives up on you, but still getting back up. I grew up in Crestwood Heights, a forgotten neighborhood on the south side of the city. Nothing really shined around here except an old basketball court with a crooked rim and cracked concrete. My mom raised us on her own after my dad walked out. And my older brother, he took a different path, one too dark for me to follow. So I clung to the only place where I felt alive, that court. That was where I dreamed, alone. Every shot I took was a cry for help. Every basket, a desperate attempt to matter. When tryouts finally came around, I thought it was my time. I pushed harder than anyone else. I ran like it was my last chance. I gave it everything, but they didn't see that. All they saw was a skinny kid, too short, while another boy, taller, well-connected, already built like a grown man, had his spot secured. Coach didn't hesitate. He looked me in the eye and said, "You're not cut out for this." The court that once felt like home turned into a cage. And right there, in front of the whole gym, between whispers and snickers, he erased my name off the list like I was never even there. But that night, I made a promise. They're gonna remember my name, even if it's the last thing I do. I wasn't born tall, wasn't born strong, wasn't born with a last name that meant anything outside my own street. But I was born with something else. Silence. The kind of silence that fills the room when you walk in and nobody turns their head. The silence that settles in your chest when your name isn't called again. That's what I carried every day through Crestwood High. I wasn't a bad student, wasn't trouble, but I also wasn't special. In the hallways, I was just the quiet kid with the old sneakers. In the cafeteria, no one saved me a seat. And in the gym, I might as well have been invisible. Except to the game. The game saw me. Basketball didn't care about your last name or your status. When the ball hit my hands, the silence broke. It all started with a hoop nailed to a wooden post behind my building. The rim was bent, the net was long gone, and the ground was more dirt than pavement. But to me, it was Madison Square Garden. I used to sneak out early, before school, before sunrise. I'd dribble with gloves in the cold, arms sore, fingers numb, no crowd, no coach, just me and the echo of the ball, telling me to keep going. Sometimes I imagined I was already someone. Other times I just imagined what it would feel like to be seen. I'll never forget the day they posted tryouts. I stood there staring at the paper like it was written in gold. Crestwood High varsity basketball, tryouts, Monday gymnasium. I felt my heart pound like it was trying to break free. This was it, my shot. I wasn't expecting favors. I just wanted a chance, a real one. I practiced every single day leading up to it. Drills, sprints, jump shots, layups. I studied players like they were scripture, watched VHS tapes of legends until the tracking lines blurred their faces. I mimicked their footwork, their release, their mindset. By the time Monday came around, I wasn't nervous. I was ready. At least I thought I was. The gym smelled like old sweat and floor wax. The echo of sneakers, whistles, and laughter bounced off the walls. The other guys, they were loud, confident. A few already had nicknames. One even had his own shoes with his name stitched on the tongue. Me? I had hand-me-downs and a silent prayer. We started with drills. I gave it everything. Every sprint I pushed harder. Every shot I focused like it was the game winner. And I knew, deep down, I wasn't the best. but I wasn't the worst either. That's why what happened next didn't make sense. Coach blew the whistle. All right, that's it. Roster's going up tomorrow morning. I nodded, tried to hide the burning in my lungs, the sweat soaking my shirt. I felt proud, until I saw the look. Coach didn't even glance at me, not once. It was like I never stepped on the court. The next morning, I ran to the bulletin board. The roster was already posted. I scanned it, one by one. No Malik Johnson. I checked again, and again. Gone. Forgotten. Then I heard it, behind me, the voice of one of the players who made it. Guess they only had spots for real athletes. Laughter followed. And then, silence. That same silence I'd carried my whole life came rushing back. But this time it felt different, heavier, sharper. I didn't cry right away. I didn't even move. I just stood there staring at the paper until I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned. It was Coach. He looked at me, almost surprised that I was still there. Then he leaned in and said, "Kid, this isn't your game. You should find something else." That was it. No explanation, just a dismissal, like I was never even in the running. I walked home that day without hearing a single sound, not the birds, not the cars, not the wind, just my own heartbeat, and that voice in my head telling me that maybe he was right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. Maybe this dream was never mine to begin with, or maybe, just maybe. That's exactly why I had to chase it. I didn't talk to anyone for 3 days, not my mom, not my teachers, not even my brother, who barely noticed I existed anyway. I'd wake up, eat whatever was on the table, and go to school like I was wearing someone else's skin. Everything felt numb, like I was moving, but not really living. People didn't say much. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe they thought I should have known better than to try. Or maybe they were too busy talking about the new star player, Trey Matthews, 6'3", already had a beard at 16. Dad ran a car dealership that sponsored the school scoreboard, played loud, laughed louder, and never missed a chance to remind me I didn't make it. "You see the list, Johnson?" he said in the hallway one day. "Must have been printed in invisible ink just for you." I didn't respond, didn't blink, didn't flinch. But inside, something was starting to burn. At night, I'd stare at the ceiling and replay Coach's words in my head. "This isn't your game." But the thing is, he was wrong. This was my game. It just wasn't my moment, not yet. So I made a decision. If they weren't going to give me a spot on that team, I'd make sure they regretted it. Every single day. It started small. I dragged an old milk crate into the alley behind my building, stacked it on a broken chair, nailed a rusted hoop to the wall, slightly crooked just like the one from before. I taped lines on the ground with old electrical wire, made my own court. Nobody watched. Nobody clapped. But that didn't stop me. I trained every morning before school, dribbled until my palms blistered, jumped until my legs burned, shot until I couldn't lift my arms anymore. I wasn't chasing perfection. I was chasing proof. Proof that I belonged, that I wasn't invisible, that Malik Johnson mattered. One morning I overslept. Woke up in a panic, heart racing, sunlight already creeping through the blinds. I jumped up, threw on my clothes, and ran outside, barefoot. When I reached the alley, I froze. Someone was there. A man. Old hoodie, cargo pants, and a duffel bag. He was just standing there, holding a basketball. "Didn't mean to scare you," he said. I didn't answer. "You Malik?" I nodded slowly. "I've been watching you," he said, nodding to the crate hoop. My stomach dropped. "Watching me?" "I live 2 buildings over," he added. "Used to play back in the day, overseas, minor leagues." Still, I said nothing. "You work harder than most kids I've seen with full scholarships," he said. Then He dropped the ball, let it bounce once, rolled it toward me. "You mind if I show you something?" I wanted to say no. I didn't trust people, not anymore. But something about him felt different. There was no ego in his tone, no arrogance, just experience. I nodded. He stepped forward and picked up the ball. "Defense," he said, "is where heart lives. And you've got heart." For the next hour, he coached me. Footwork, ball handling, timing. He broke everything down like it was science. He didn't treat me like a charity case. He didn't pity me. He saw me. When we were done, I was drenched in sweat and gasping for air. He smiled and said, "You want to learn for real? I'll be here every morning, same time." I didn't know his name. Didn't know if he was serious, but the next morning I showed up anyway, and so did he. His name was Marcus. Everyone around the neighborhood just called him Coach M. He never talked about his past unless I asked. Never told me what I could be. Just told me what I needed to do, and I did it. Day after day. Rain, cold. Doesn't matter. Coach M showed up. So I did too. He taught me that greatness isn't born. It's built. One brick at a time. But as I trained harder, something else started happening. Something I wasn't ready for. The school noticed. The players noticed. Trey noticed. And he didn't like it one bit. They say if you grind in silence, the world will eventually hear you. I didn't believe that. Not at first. But something changed after Coach M started training me. I was sharper, faster. Every movement had a purpose now. Every dribble, every step, every pivot felt like part of a bigger plan. And even though I was still invisible inside that school, out there on the blacktop, kids started stopping to watch. It was never a crowd, just a few at first. A couple of neighborhood kids on their way home. Then some juniors who used to laugh at my shoes. Now they stood on the curb, arms crossed, watching in silence as I ran drills that most of them didn't even understand. They didn't say anything, but I could feel it. Their silence was different now. It wasn't pity, it was respect. One afternoon, after a brutal session in the alley, I heard the sound of a ball bouncing behind me. I turned. It was Trey, wearing the school's varsity hoodie, earbuds in, chewing gum like he owned the planet. He looked at my setup, the crooked hoop, the scuffed up lines, the sweat dripping from my face, and he smirked. "Still pretending to be a baller, huh?" I didn't answer. I'd learned not to waste words on people who needed to be loud to feel powerful. But he wasn't finished. "You know no one's gonna pick a trash can baller over me, right?" I stayed quiet. He stepped forward, real close. "You can train all day, Johnson. You'll always be the kid who didn't make the list." Then he dropped the ball and walked off, whistling. Coach M showed up minutes later, saw the look on my face, didn't even ask what happened. He just said, "You want to shut him up? Don't talk. Outwork." And that's what I did. Coach M upped everything. Longer drills, more weight, less rest. I thought I was working hard before, but this was something else. Some days I collapsed right there in the alley, lying on the cold ground, gasping for air. But I never quit. Because every time my body screamed to stop, I saw Trey's face, smirking, mocking. I wanted that image burned into my lungs, so I'd never forget why I started. One weekend, Coach M surprised me. He said, "You're ready." "Ready for what?" I asked. He tossed me a fresh ball, a real one, clean, leather. "Game at Hilltop tomorrow, outdoor court, good players, real heat. You need to test yourself in fire." I didn't sleep that night. I wasn't scared of playing. I was scared of being seen. Again. But when morning came, I laced up my beat-up sneakers, pulled my hoodie tight, and followed Coach M to Hilltop. That court was different. It had an energy. Older players, bigger, louder, no refs, no timeouts. You earn your spot or you sit. Coach M didn't walk me in. He just pointed at the baseline and said, "Take your shot." So I did. They let me on the last team, the one that rotates in after a loss. I was the smallest on the court, but I didn't hesitate. First play, I cut baseline, caught a pass, and finished with a reverse layup under pressure. Next possession, I picked the ball clean from a guy twice my size and drained a jumper on the break. By the time we won 2 games straight, the sideline was shouting my name. Not in mockery, not in doubt, but in hype. Yo, that kid can hoop. Who is that? Shorty got moves. For the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to be watched and wanted. And when the sun set and I walked off the court dripping in sweat, I saw Coach M leaning on a fence, arms crossed, smiling. "You ain't invisible anymore," he said. And I smiled back. For a second, I believed maybe, just maybe, my time was coming. But what I didn't know was that while I was rising in the shadows, Trey was watching, and he wasn't smiling. He wasn't impressed. He was planning. It started with whispers. "Hey, isn't that the kid from Hilltop? Yo, that's Malik. Saw him break some ankles last weekend. Coach M's kid." People were talking, not just on the block, at school. Suddenly, teachers started calling me by name. Not "Hey you," but Malik. The janitor nodded when I walked by. Even the lunch lady gave me an extra slice of pizza. It was weird. Nice, sure, but weird, because I knew why it was happening. Hilltop, the street court. That place had a pulse and word traveled fast. Someone recorded my game. It hit local reels online, and it didn't take long for it to make its way into Crestwood High and into Trey's hands. I didn't notice at first, didn't realize he was watching. But one afternoon, as I was leaving history class, I saw a group huddled around a phone. They were watching the video. My video. I froze. They were replaying one of my spin moves in slow motion, laughing, hyping it up. Then Trey walked into the circle. The energy shifted. He looked at the screen, then at me. "Cute," he said. "Pickup games and broken rims." Everyone went quiet. He stepped closer. "You really think that makes you a player? You beat a couple of nobodies on a concrete court and now you think you're something?" I didn't answer. He smirked. "Tell you what, since you're feeling bold now, why don't you prove it? One-on-one, you and me. Friday, at Hilltop." The group exploded. Some gasped, some laughed nervously, some whispered, "No way he says yes." I looked at Trey, right in the eyes. "See you there." Coach M didn't flinch when I told him. He just said, "You sure?" "I need this," I replied. He nodded. Then he got serious. "Don't let it be about him. Let it be about you." Friday came fast. Too fast. The court was packed. Not just neighborhood kids, teachers, classmates, even some of the junior varsity squad showed up. Phones out, energy electric. This wasn't just a pickup game anymore. This was theater. I showed up early, stretched, bounced the ball until the rhythm calmed my heart. Then Trey arrived. Brand new shoes, headphones around his neck, shades. He looked like a college recruit. The crowd parted for him like he was royalty. He didn't warm up, just strutted to the half-court line and said, "You ready, YouTube star?" We flipped for ball. I won. Game to 11, 1 and 2s. I took the first shot, a quick hesitation and step-back jumper. Rimmed out. Trey grabbed the board and smirked. "I thought you were supposed to be special." Then he went to work. Backed me down, scored. Then again, and again. He was bigger, stronger, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like the same kid who got cut. By the time it was 5-0, the crowd started shifting. The cheers quieted. Whispers returned. Maybe Malik's not ready. Trey's built for this. It's not even close. I tried to tune it out. Coach M's voice echoed in my head. "Let it be about you." But my legs were tight, my shots short, and Trey, he was loving every second. "Looks like the court's too big for the internet, hero," he said, laughing. 10-4. Game point. Trey dribbled up slowly, toying with me. He pulled up for a fadeaway jumper. I jumped late. Swish. Game over. The crowd exploded, but not for me. Trey strutted across the court, arms out like a king. Then he walked over, leaned into my ear and said, "You're still not on the list." I didn't cry, didn't sulk. I just stood there, watching him celebrate. Not because he beat me, but because I knew something he didn't. That wasn't the end. That was just the start. After that game, I disappeared. Not literally. I still went to school, still sat in class, still walked the same hallways. But something about me was gone. I stopped showing up at Hilltop, stopped talking during lunch, stopped caring what anyone thought, because for the first time I understood what needed to happen. I didn't need revenge. I needed transformation. Coach M didn't say much after the loss. When I showed up the next morning, same time, same place, he just handed me the ball and said, "Good, you're here." That was it. No pity, no pep talk, just sweat, reps, pain. The sessions changed after that. Less about moves, more about mindset. He made me run without the ball, lift with bricks, dribble with eyes closed, shoot with distractions in my ears. He made me do wall sits until my legs shook and tears welled up in my eyes. "This is what pressure feels like," he'd say. "Now breathe through it." I was becoming something else. Someone else. I started waking up at 4:45 a.m. Didn't set alarms anymore. My body just knew. School felt like background noise. I kept my grades up just enough to stay under the radar. No more hallway drama. No more fake friendships. No more "hey bro" from kids who only wanted proximity to buzz. I was in exile, and I liked it. Over time, my body started to change. I grew taller, faster. My arms leaned out, my back straightened. I no longer looked like the scrawny kid from last season. And yet no one noticed. Because I made sure they didn't. Baggy clothes. Hood up. Head down. People would walk past me in the halls, brush my shoulder, and not even realize it was me. Perfect. Because I was building in the dark. And when you build in the dark, no one sees the monster you're becoming. I studied film every night. Jordan, Kobe, Iverson. I wasn't just watching them play. I was studying their hunger. I'd watch Jordan's face when he got cut from his team in high school. I'd replay his comeback over and over again. Because that's where I was, the cut phase. But I knew the comeback was coming. One night, Coach M sat me down. "You know what separates players from legends?" he asked. "Work ethic," I said. He shook his head. "No, recovery." I frowned. "Everyone fails," he said. "Even the greats. Especially the greats. The difference is what they do after." He looked at me. "Hard. You've failed. You've hurt. But you've also stayed. That's why you're dangerous now." I swallowed that truth like medicine. Bitter. But exactly what I needed. By spring, I was unrecognizable. Quieter. Sharper. Harder. Coach M called it the kill zone. It's when your game moves faster than your doubts. When your muscles obey instinct, not fear. When every move becomes second nature. I was in it. And still, no one knew. No coaches, no players. Not even Trey. Especially not Trey. He thought he buried me. Thought I gave up. He was too busy basking in his own spotlight to see the storm building behind him. I kept waiting for the right moment, not to show off, but to return. And then, the announcement came. Crestwood High Open Varsity Tryouts, September 4th. I stared at the poster. Same font, same layout, same gym, same coach. A full year later. But this time, I wasn't the same. That night I stood in front of my mirror, took off the hoodie, looked at myself, really looked. For the first time in my life, I saw someone I didn't want to hide anymore. Not because I was proud yet, but because I knew what I'd earned. Not fame, not likes, control. I folded the flyer, slid it into my notebook, and walked to bed without saying a word. Didn't tell Coach M, didn't tell my mom, didn't need to. Because the moment I stepped back into that gym, I wouldn't just be trying out. I'd be taking back everything they said I'd never have. The gym hadn't changed. Same faded banners on the wall, same wooden bleachers with gum under every seat, same scuffed up floor with a crack down the baseline. But I wasn't the same, not even close. I walked in early, earlier than anyone else. Just like last year. Only this time I didn't feel small. Didn't feel like I was hoping to be seen. I was here to take what was mine. Players started trickling in, laughing, hyping each other up. Trey walked in surrounded by 3 other guys, all wearing varsity hoodies, loud and confident. He didn't notice me at first, not with the hoodie I wore pulled low and my face half turned. I kept my head down, tying my laces slow, calm. Then came the clipboard, same as before. Coach Bennett, same look on his face, like this was all a chore. Names on the list, grab a penny, line up on the baseline, he called. I stepped forward, signed my name like it was a contract. When I handed him the pen, his eyes scanned the list, then stopped. Malik Johnson? I nodded. He raised an eyebrow. Didn't expect to see you back here. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Warm-ups began. Layup lines, passing drills, jogging laps. Everything felt mechanical, like the gym was still asleep. But inside me, my blood was electric. Every bounce, every pivot, every cut, it all felt tighter, stronger, sharper, like I'd been training for this exact moment for 365 days, because I had. Scrimmages started next, 5-on-5. Coach split us into squads, blew the whistle, and the first group took the court. I wasn't in it. I watched from the sideline, heart calm, eyes locked on every move. Trey was in the first squad, still smooth, still dominant. Crossed a kid and finished at the rim with a cocky finger roll. Crowd loved it. Even the players on the bench gave him fake applause. He turned to the bleachers, pointed like a pro. And that's when he saw me. Trey froze mid-strut, eyes squinting. Then he tilted his head, like he was trying to remember something. Then it clicked. Yo, no way. Malik? The gym turned. I didn't react. He laughed. Back from the grave, huh? A couple of his boys chuckled, but it didn't land like it used to. I wasn't the same. And deep down, maybe they sensed it too. My turn came in the third scrimmage. I took the court with 4 kids I didn't know. The other squad had 1 varsity returner and a couple of athletic juniors. Coach blew the whistle. Game on. First possession, I passed it off. Moved without the ball. Set a screen. Didn't force it. Second possession, they sagged off me. I pulled up. Smooth, clean, swish. No reaction. I wasn't here for noise. Next play, I stole the ball mid-pass, sprinted the court, and hit a no-look assist to a kid in the corner. Suddenly, heads turned. Coach Bennett lowered his clipboard. I kept going. Step backs, crossover into the lane, drawing contact and finishing strong. One kid on the sideline whispered, "Who the hell is this?" Another answered, "That's Malik, I think." Trey watched in silence. No smirk, no taunts, just his jaw tight, hand resting on his knee, bouncing nervously. He knew. Last play of the scrimmage. Tie game, clock ticking down, ball in my hands. I dribbled once, twice, faked the drive, spun left, pulled up from just inside the arc, release, silence, net, game. The gym didn't erupt, it didn't need to. That shot wasn't for them. It was for me. For the version of Malik that got erased from this very court a year ago. For the kid who cried into his pillow when no one believed. I jogged back to the sideline. Coach Bennett scribbled something on his clipboard, looked up, then called, "Johnson, stay after." The whistle blew. Tryouts were over. But my moment, just getting started. "Johnson, stay after." Those 3 words echoed in my head like a drum line. I didn't smile, didn't react, just nodded and grabbed my water bottle while everyone else packed up. Players walked past, glancing sideways, some with curiosity, some with quiet respect. Trey didn't look at me at all. Coach Bennett stood near the bleachers, arms crossed, clipboard tucked under his arm. I walked over, heart steady. He didn't speak at first, just stared at me, eyes narrow, jaw clenched like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Then he finally said it. "Where the hell have you been?" I shrugged. "Around." He let out a small laugh. Not kind, not warm. More like confusion wrapped in disbelief. "You move like someone who's had real coaching. But I remember you. You couldn't even finish a layup clean last year." I got better. He studied me for a long second, then flipped open his clipboard. "You want a spot on this team?" "Yes. Varsity's full." I didn't flinch. "I can make room, but I don't give away jerseys just because someone had a good scrimmage." He stepped forward slightly. "You want in? You're gonna earn it every single day. No guarantees, no minutes. You'll sit the bench until I say otherwise. You'll run extra drills, stay after practice. And if you slack for even 1 second, you're out, clear?" I nodded. "Good," he said. "Practice starts Monday. Don't be late." I turned to walk away, but then he added something that stopped me cold. "Oh, and Johnson, you're only getting this shot because Trey vouched for you. He told me to watch you today." I froze, turned back slowly. Coach didn't even look up. He just scribbled something on his pad and walked away. I stood there, fists clenched, blood rushing in my ears. Trey vouched for me. That wasn't a favor. That was a move. A power move. He wanted the credit if I failed, wanted to be the one who gave me a shot. Like this was charity. Like I hadn't earned every ounce of sweat I'd poured into the last year. Coach M met me outside the gym. He leaned on the fence, sipping from his thermos like he'd been waiting. I didn't say a word, just stood there staring at the pavement. Finally, I asked, "You believe that? That Trey vouched for you?" "Yeah," Coach M smiled without looking at me. "You think your game today was a gift from Trey?" I shook my head. "You think the late nights, early mornings, busted sneakers, you did all that for him?" "No." "Then why are you letting his name inside your head?" I didn't answer. He turned to me fully. "You just got what you wanted. A foot in the door, a spot on the team. And you're standing here acting like you lost something." I took a breath. Let the anger settle. He was right. This wasn't about Trey. This was about the jersey. Monday came fast, and with it, real practice. No more drills for fun. No more scrimmages with loose whistles. This was structure, plays, systems, conditioning. And true to his word, Coach Bennett made me earn everything. He had me running extra laps, redoing free throws if I missed one, staying late after everyone else left. The other players noticed. Some smirked. Some kept their distance. Trey? He didn't say a word. He just watched, like a lion waiting for the antelope to slip. But I didn't slip. Every pass, on point. Every sprint, first one done. Every drill, precise. I didn't talk, didn't joke, didn't try to fit in. I was there for one reason, to take that jersey and never let it go. 1 week in, Coach Bennett pulled me aside after practice. He tossed me a folded shirt. It was heavier than it looked. Number 11, Crestwood High Varsity. Real. Mine. But just as I caught my breath, he said, "You'll dress out, but don't expect to play anytime soon." I stared at the number in my hands. Didn't respond. Because deep down, I already knew he still didn't believe in me. And that was fine. Because soon, he wouldn't have a choice. Game nights at Crestwood were electric. The stands packed, the lights bright, the crowd roaring before tip-off. And I sat through it all. From the bench, first row, far left, next to the trainer. Week after week, I'd warm up, suit up, lace up, and sit. Number 11 on the roster, invisible again. Only this time, I was wearing the same jersey as the stars. I wasn't outside the gym anymore. I was inside the machine, but still overlooked, still unchosen. Coach Bennett ran a tight rotation. Trey was the star, of course. Got the plays called for him, took the most shots, got the loudest cheers. And to be fair, he was good. Annoyingly good. Fast, strong, confident. He controlled the pace like he owned it. Me, I controlled water bottles, kept my legs loose, watched every play like it was film study. Coach barely spoke to me. Once in a while, he'd glance down the bench, then look away. Some games, I didn't even unpeel the warm-up jacket. People started asking questions. You still on the team? Why don't they play you? Did you mess up or something? I shrugged them off. Because I knew better. I knew what they didn't. Every practice, I was building something. Every rep, every drill, every 6 a.m. lift I did alone while the rest of the team slept. I was sharpening the blade. They just hadn't seen it drawn yet. Then came Westlake, rival school, loud gym, hostile crowd, packed house, student section with signs and chants. This wasn't just a game, it was war. First half, tight, back and forth. Trey hit a big three, flexed at the crowd. They booed him harder. We went into halftime down by 4. Coach was fired up, drawing plays, yelling about effort, challenging egos. I sat in the corner nodding, absorbing every detail. Then came the third quarter. Chaos. Trey drove hard to the rim, landed awkwardly, and grabbed his ankle. The gym went dead silent. He pounded the floor once, twice, didn't get up. Trainers ran out. Coach followed. Trey was helped off the court, limping, angry, frustrated. I looked at the scoreboard. Down by 7, 6 minutes left in the quarter. The team huddled. Coach Bennett was pacing, mumbling to his assistant. Then, his eyes landed on me. He hesitated, looked at the assistant again, then back at me. Johnson, you're in. Just like that. No speech, no prep, just my name. And the moment I'd been waiting for. I pulled off my jacket and stepped onto the court. The lights felt different now, hotter, sharper. I wiped my palms on my shorts, breathed once. Ball inbounded. My defender didn't even guard me tight. They didn't know who I was. I liked it that way. I ran the offense, moved the ball, didn't force anything. Then, a loose ball. I dove for it, saved it from going out. Crowd gasped. Next play, I cut baseline, caught a dump-off pass, and finished through contact. Whistle, and won. I didn't celebrate, just walked to the line and made the free throw. Then I locked in on defense, full pressure, no breathing room. 2 steals, 1 deflection. Suddenly, our bench was on their feet. We were back in the game. Fourth quarter, tied up. Coach kept me in. Now the crowd was chanting, not for Trey, for me. Let's go 11, let's go 11. I hadn't heard my name like that since ever. Then came the moment. 10 seconds left, tie game, our ball. Coach called timeout. Everyone looked at him expecting the obvious, but Trey was out. So now what? Coach looked down the bench, then at me, then at the clipboard. Then, he handed it to me. You want it? He asked. I nodded, didn't even blink. Back on the court, I took the inbound pass. Clock ticking, 9, 8. I dribbled up, crossed over. Defender bit, 6, 5. I spun back, stepped to the left elbow. 4, 3, pulled up, release, ball in the air. Time froze. The gym held its breath. And then, the ball left my fingertips clean. No hitch, no panic, just breath and release. It spun in the air like it knew where to go. The whole gym leaned with it. Eyes wide, mouths open. 2, 1, swish. The net snapped so loud it echoed off the rafters. And for a second, just a second, everything was still. Then, boom. The gym exploded. People jumped. Benches emptied. Teammates swarmed me like I'd just hit a buzzer beater in the NBA Finals. But I didn't yell, didn't beat my chest, didn't soak in the praise. I just stood there, staring at the rim, because I wasn't celebrating. I was remembering the exact spot on that court where I once stood, while Coach Bennett told me I didn't belong. Remembering the moment Trey said I'd always be a joke. Remembering every morning I trained alone. Every blister, every ache, every time I wanted to quit. And now, the scoreboard didn't lie. Crestwood, 69, Westlake, 66, final. The locker room was chaos. Guys yelling, throwing water, dancing to the music blasting from someone's speaker. I sat on the bench, slowly unlacing my shoes. One by one, teammates came by and tapped my shoulder. "Big shot, bro. You cold with it, 11. Malik freaking Johnson." Even the assistant coach gave me a fist bump. Coach Bennett. He just stood across the room, arms folded, studying me. Not smiling, not frowning, just watching. Then finally he walked over, sat beside me on the bench. Quiet. For a long second he didn't say a word, then, "That was a hell of a shot." I nodded. He paused again. "You've got something, kid. Not just talent, poise." I didn't respond. I wanted to ask him why he waited so long to see it, why he had to push me to the edge just to open the door. But I didn't, because I knew the answer now. People don't believe in what they've never seen before, and I wasn't just a player anymore. I was proof. By Monday, the whole school knew. Teachers stopped me in the hallway. Kids I'd never spoken to were dapping me up like we grew up together. Someone printed a screenshot of the buzzer beater and taped it to my locker. I went from ghost to golden boy in 48 hours, and with the attention came the weight. Everyone wanted a piece. Interviews for the school paper, social media tags, even a message from a small college scout who happened to see the clip. It felt surreal and just a little dangerous. Trey was back in practice that week. Ankle still wrapped, but moving fine. We didn't speak, didn't make eye contact, but I felt it. The shift. He wasn't the only headline anymore. Coach gave me real minutes in the next game. Not garbage time, not sympathy reps, real minutes. And I delivered. Assists, hustle plays, defense. Not just a shooter now, a floor general, a leader. And that scared Trey more than any shot ever could. But something else was happening too. Something deeper, something quieter. I wasn't sleeping well, not from nerves, from hunger. Because now that I'd tasted what it felt like to be seen, I wanted more. Not just for me, for every kid who's ever been erased. That night I sat on the same rooftop I used to train beside, looked out at the city lights, basketball in my lap, and I thought, this is it. The moment people stop laughing, the moment they stop looking past me, the moment the world tilts, just enough for someone like me to rise. But what I didn't know was that being seen, that's only the beginning. Because once the spotlight hits, it doesn't just show who you are, it shows who's coming for you. Success doesn't always feel like you imagined. It's louder, heavier, and sometimes darker. After the buzzer beater, everything changed, but not all of it was good. Now every time I walked into the gym, eyes followed me, whispers, expectations. Let's see what he does today. Hope he's not a one-hit wonder. Think he can do it again? I went from being invisible to being under a microscope. And the worst part? There's no turning that spotlight off. Coach Bennett started drawing up plays for me. Not just letting me play, trusting me to lead. That shift didn't sit well with everyone, especially not Trey. His injury had him out for one more week. But he was there, watching, arms crossed, head low, face blank but eyes sharp. And when I started getting more praise from Coach, more claps from teammates, more noise from the stands, he noticed. You could feel the shift in the room. Trey had ruled this place like a throne, and now someone new was sitting on it. It started with small things. A missing practice jersey. My name erased from the locker room whiteboard. A mistaken foul called during a drill. I didn't say anything. Didn't accuse. Didn't point fingers. Because I knew who it was. But I also knew something else. If they're playing games, it means you're winning. One afternoon after practice, Coach Bennett pulled me aside. "Scouts are watching now," he said. "You're on film. You keep this up, you'll have options." Options. That word hit me like a punch to the chest. For the first time in my life, basketball wasn't just about survival. It was about opportunity, a way out, a future, a real one. But that night when I got home, I found a note in my locker bag. No name, no handwriting I recognized, just 5 words. "You won't last. Watch yourself." I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the note. My heart was steady. My hands weren't. Not because I was scared, but because I'd been here before, back in the shadows, where people move silent, strike from behind. Only now, the difference was, they were afraid of me. I didn't tell Coach M about the note, didn't want to seem paranoid. But I did ask him something I never had before. What do you do when the people closest to you start hoping you fall? He looked at me long and hard, then said, "You climb anyway, and when you reach the top, you don't pull them up." The next practice, Trey was cleared to return. The gym buzzed as he laced up. Everyone knew what this meant. A collision was coming. Same court, same coach, 2 alphas, 1 spotlight. He didn't speak to me that day, but every drill was a message. Every shot he took, harder, louder. Every screen he set, stiffer. Every glance he gave me, colder. Coach noticed the tension. "You two run together," he said. "Same side, same drill." It wasn't a suggestion. We lined up. First drill, full court 2-man break. I took off. He passed late, too high, ball out of bounds. "Coach, again." Next run, I returned the favor, hit him low on purpose. Ball bounced off his leg. Again, again, again. By the 5th time, Coach blew the whistle and slammed his clipboard. "This isn't about you two. Get over yourselves or sit." Silence. We both nodded. Didn't speak. But in that moment, something was clear. This wasn't a team anymore. It was a battleground. Later that evening, I stayed late to shoot alone. The gym was quiet. Lights dimmed. Just me, the rim, and the echo of my own breath. Until the door creaked open. Trey. He walked in, grabbed a ball, and started shooting from the opposite end. We didn't speak. Just the sound of 2 balls bouncing, like a countdown. After 20 minutes, he stopped, picked up his ball, and walked past me, then paused. "You think this ends with you on top?" He didn't wait for an answer, just kept walking. The door closed behind him, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something new. Not doubt, not fear, but the chilling sense that I wasn't just chasing dreams anymore. I was being hunted. You can only keep pressure bottled up for so long. Eventually it bursts. And the truth is, I felt it coming. The glances, the silence, the tension thick enough to cut. We weren't just teammates anymore. We were 2 storms circling the same court, waiting to collide. The breaking point came during a game we should have won. Simple opponent, non-conference matchup, packed gym, nothing special. Except for the weight in the air, Trey was back in the starting 5. So was I. Coach didn't say anything about it. He just read the lineup like it was business as usual. But everyone felt it. Like 2 kings forced to share 1 crown. From tip-off, it was chaos. No chemistry, no flow, just isolation plays and ego. Trey was forcing shots. I was calling for the ball. He ignored me. I started ignoring him back. We traded baskets, not as teammates, but as rivals in the same jersey. By halftime, we were down 10. Coach exploded in the locker room. "You two either figure this out or I bench you both." I don't care who scored last. I care who wins. We didn't respond. Couldn't. Because deep down, we weren't listening to him anymore. We were listening to each other's silence. Second half got worse. Turnovers, missed assignments, glares instead of passes. Then, it happened. Midway through the fourth, we got a steal. I sprinted ahead, wide open on the fast break. Trey had the ball. All he had to do was dish it, but he didn't. He kept it, went for a flashy layup, missed. Ball bounced out, crowd gasped. I stopped in my tracks, didn't chase the rebound, didn't run back. I just stood there, watching him pick himself up, while the other team scored on the other end. Timeout. Coach slammed his clipboard on the scorer's table. That's it. He yanked both of us off the court. We sat side by side, breathing heavy, not looking at each other. The crowd murmured, benched, the so-called future of the team, now sitting like punished kids. After the loss, the locker room was ice cold. No music, no celebration, just a long silence. Coach didn't even speak. He just walked out. Door slammed behind him. The team scattered one by one, until it was just me and Trey, still in uniform, still not speaking. Then, he laughed. Low, bitter. You really think you're the answer to everything, huh? I looked up. You really think I wanted any of this? He stood. Don't act like you didn't. You've been waiting for me to fall since day one. I stood too. You fell on your own. That did it. He stepped closer, nose to nose. I could feel the heat in his breath. You're not a leader, you're just a replacement, a highlight reel, a moment. I didn't move. Then why are you so scared of me? Silence, thick, heavy. Then he shoved me, hard. I stumbled back, caught myself on the locker. I didn't hit back, didn't flinch, just stared at him, calm, controlled. And that scared him more than a punch ever could. He turned and stormed out. I stayed behind, sat in front of my locker, alone, trying to breathe through the fire inside me. Coach M's voice echoed in my mind. You climb anyway, and when you reach the top, you don't pull them up. But what if they're not just refusing to climb? What if they're trying to drag you down? The next day at practice, Coach Bennett called a team meeting. Everyone sat. No one spoke. He looked at me, then at Trey, then at everyone. You're not a team. You're a room full of individuals in matching jerseys. He paused. So here's what's gonna happen. Everyone leaned in. We've got 2 games left before playoffs. If we lose either, I don't care who the stars are, the season ends early, for all of us. He pointed to the center of the circle. You two figure it out, now, or sit for the rest of the season. I looked at Trey. He looked at me. And I realized something. This wasn't about hate anymore. It was about choice. Were we going to destroy each other? Or build something neither of us could build alone? We didn't shake hands. We didn't hug it out. But that day, after Coach Bennett's ultimatum, Trey and I stepped onto the court, and something was different. We passed the ball to each other, not because we wanted to, but because we had to. And then, something crazy happened. It worked. First possession, he drove, kicked it to me on the wing. I hit the 3. Next trip, I broke down the defense, swung it to him. Corner jumper, splash. No words, no smiles, just basketball. And it was beautiful. We won that game, then the next. Suddenly, we were headed to the playoffs. The same team that almost broke apart now was building something dangerous. Coach didn't say much, but his rotations told the story. Trey and I shared the floor, shared the ball, and for the first time, we shared the respect. It didn't mean we were friends, but we were soldiers in the same war, and that was enough. The playoff buzz hit Crestwood like a storm. Local press showed up. College scouts lined the back row. The gym felt too small for the noise inside it, but I didn't hear any of it, Because I'd already played the biggest games of my life, alone, in silence when no one was watching. This was just the part where the world finally caught up. Finals. Crestwood versus Briar Ridge. They had size. They had shooters. They had hype. We had scars. And scars don't lie. Tip-off. First quarter was tight, back and forth. We traded buckets. No one blinked. Second quarter, they pulled ahead. Coach called timeout, huddled us up, looked at me, then at Trey. You two know what to do. That was it. No plays, no clipboard. Just trust. We came out like fire. Trey attacked the rim. I fed the shooters. Defense tightened. Momentum shifted. The crowd roared. Final minutes. Tie game. Ball in my hands. Clock ticking. Coach didn't call timeout. He let it ride. 10, 9. I scanned the floor. Trey was open. Top of the key. I could have taken the shot. I'd earned it. But I passed. He caught. Set his feet. Released. The ball flew. Buzzer. Swish. Game. The gym exploded. People ran onto the court. Chants shook the walls. Trey dropped to his knees. I just stood there, watching the madness. Then I felt it. Hands lifting me. Teammates shouting. Camera flashes blinding. And through the noise, I heard it. MVP goes to Malik Johnson. That's when it hit me. Not the trophy, not the title, the sound. My name, not whispered, not mocked, not erased from a list. Spoken, loud, proud. Malik Johnson. Coach Bennett hugged me for the first time. Didn't say much. He didn't need to. Trey walked over. We locked eyes. He extended his hand. I took it. That was it. No apology. No speeches. Just the handshake between two warriors who bled on the same floor. Weeks passed. Offers came in. College visits. Scholarship letters. Interviews. I kept the jersey. Framed it. Not because of the shot or the title, but because of everything it took to wear it. One day after a school assembly, a younger kid stopped me in the hallway. Couldn't have been older than 12. Skinny. Quiet. He looked up at me wide-eyed and said, "They say you almost didn't make the team." I smiled, kneeled down. "They're right." He frowned. "But you're the best now." I looked him in the eye. "That's not what makes you great." He tilted his head. "Then what does?" I stood up, patted his shoulder. "Keep showing up, even when no one's clapping." He nodded slowly, walked off. I watched him go, and in that moment I realized something. The shot changed everything, but the silence before it, that's what made me. And now, the world doesn't ignore my name anymore. It chants it. They told me I'd never make it. They laughed when I got cut. They erased my name like I didn't exist, but I didn't stop. I didn't scream. I didn't ask for permission. I just worked. In silence, in pain, in shadows. And when the world finally looked up, I was already above the rim. Because as Michael Jordan once said, I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. So if you're out there, feeling invisible, rejected, pushed aside, don't wait to be chosen. Build until they can't ignore you. Now tell me, what's the dream they said you'd never achieve? Drop it in the comments. Let the world hear your name too. I'll be reading every story.